We're getting breaking news on the investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. JLR investigates. Right now, they're putting up no trespassing signs in front of the house. Look at that. There's a ton of press on site. Look at the sign. Take a good look at that sign. They're putting up notices everywhere. They don't want anyone strange on the property. Anyone who enters without permission will be prosecuted. What the hell is going on here? They're not letting anyone get near the house. We're still covering the mysterious Nancy Guthrie case. Several people have already trespassed onto the lot, simply out of curiosity, trying to get a closer look at something. Some came right up to the door to take pictures. Delivery drivers and onlookers who only show up to question the sheriff's officers. It's clear they don't want anyone in there. So, I recommend you don't try to enter the property. When someone tells you to back off, the first question isn't whether they mean it. The real question is what they're trying to protect. This week, the son-in-law of an 84-year-old woman answered that. He didn't do it with words or with lawyers or with press releases, but with a sign staked into his own front yard in Tucson, Arizona. No trespassing. Violators will be prosecuted. Stay away. And here's the detail that has left the community frozen since that first warning sign appeared. The house at the center of the investigation where Nancy Guthrie was last seen alive and where the camera went dark. At 1:47 in the morning, when the monitoring on her pacemaker shut off just 41 minutes later, where they found blood on the porch and recovered DNA from an unknown man inside the residence. That house is 10 miles from where they put up the sign. 10 miles. The question isn't whether they issued the warning. They did. The mystery is why they're on that property in this crucial week of the police investigation. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the timing chosen for that sign could be the most significant behavioral shift to date. In these 90 days of mystery. This is American Case File reconstructing the last hours before everything changed forever. Pay attention. Nancy Guthrie is 84 years old and lives in the Catalina foothills area of Tucson, Arizona. She is the mother of Savannah Guthrie, host of the Today Show on NBC. On the night of January 31, 2026, she was having a quiet dinner with her family. When it was over, her son-in-law Tommaso drove her back to her residence. She went inside, and the door closed behind her. That's the last confirmed moment anyone saw Nancy Guthrie. What happened in the hours that followed is a series of events that the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI have been investigating without rest. At 1:47 in the morning, Nancy's doorbell camera went offline. That's confirmed. There's no official explanation in the public record for why the camera stopped working. 41 minutes later, at 2:28, the monitoring app for Nancy's pacemaker also went offline. For a woman of her age whose heart needs constant monitoring, this wasn't a routine technical glitch. We're talking about vital medical equipment shutting off in the middle of the night, just an hour after her doorbell camera did exactly the same thing. She was reported missing the next morning. When authorities processed her house in the first days of the intense investigation, they found traces of blood on the front porch. This was officially confirmed. And inside the home, they recovered something very important. That changed the direction of the entire case. DNA. Genetic material that did not belong to Nancy Guthrie at all. It was confirmed to belong to an unknown man. Someone who had no reason to be inside that property. Investigators ran that profile through CODIS, the FBI's national database of convicted offenders. No matches. Whoever left that DNA in Nancy Guthrie's home wasn't in the system. Sheriff Chris Nano spoke about the DNA in February and made a statement that has shaped the rest of the process. He stated that no family member is a suspect in this criminal investigation. That position remains firm in the current official record. To date, no one has been charged with any crime in connection with Nancy Guthrie's mysterious disappearance. He also mentioned a timeline for DNA results that stunned everyone. He suggested the process could take a year. To understand why that timeline is crucial, and why this week's developments carry so much weight in the media, you need to understand what CeCe Moore, an expert in forensic genetic genealogy, publicly stated in February about the specific nature of this evidence and what it implies for the relentless pursuit of justice in this case. We need to understand what this evidence reveals about the identity of the person who was inside that house. CeCe Moore is the chief genetic genealogist at Parabon Nanolabs. She is one of the most credentialed experts in her specialty. What she described about the DNA found at Nancy Guthrie's house is the forensic foundation. Every subsequent advance in this case has to be measured against that. Moore confirmed that the sample isn't a clean profile from a single contributor. It's what they call a complex mixture. Genetic material was collected from multiple individuals on the same surfaces inside the home. Nancy lived there for decades, building up layers that standard analysis can't clearly untangle. The deconvolution software for separating complex mixtures of multiple individual profiles in DNA samples. Moore stated that it doesn't yet exist in a validated form. She mentioned a company called Astria. Astria is developing that software at an accelerated pace, working specifically on cases that present this type of forensic obstacle. The process is ready to begin as soon as that bridge is completed. Then she said the sentence this community has held on to with hope since February. If investigators get a viable profile, genetic genealogy will solve this case without a doubt. And it will be solved in weeks, not months. Weeks. That's where the evidence stalled. A complex mixture, a technological gap, a company building bridges, and a forensic process ready to go. If you're watching American Case File for the first time, this channel is dedicated to active investigations. We use direct sources, documented evidence, and the in-depth analysis that crimes and disappearances like this demand. Like the video if this is the coverage you were looking for, and subscribe to get new details on the case. 90 days have passed. Ground searches were carried out in Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood. Drone footage of her property was publicly analyzed by former agent Maureen O'Connell. Members of the community following the case walked the area's washes on foot. Pieces of clothing were reported as found during those searches. The FBI confirmed its ongoing involvement, providing federal resources alongside the county investigation. The Pima County Sheriff's Department operated under institutional pressure that has been fully documented. There was an internal vote of no confidence and a recall effort against Sheriff Nanos. Reports questioned the level of experience of the homicide unit initially assigned to the case. These are real facts about the agency leading the investigation on the ground. They matter because they give context to why the FBI's involvement is so significant here. The federal investigation kept moving forward regardless of what was happening at the local law enforcement level. 90 days have gone by. No arrests, no official suspects. The fundamental question is still hanging in the air. Where is Nancy Guthrie? Then this week arrived, and 3 events happened within just 7 days. Each one raised questions, and together they paint a case that has finally stopped being static. The first was that sign. Tommaso Cioni is the son-in-law of the missing Nancy Guthrie. He is, by his own public admission, the last confirmed person to have been with her. He drove her home after dinner on January 31, 2026. She went inside and was never seen again. Sheriff Nanos states that no family member is a suspect. That position holds. But this week, a no trespassing sign appeared in the front yard. Tommaso Cioni shares the home with Annie Guthrie in the city of Tucson, Arizona. According to local media reports, the sign warns that anyone who ignores it will be prosecuted. It went up after a neighborhood meeting where there were complaints about harassment from a content creator. This person is alleged to have been harassing residents. No name was mentioned in the official reports. Specific details about that alleged harassment were not disclosed in the confirmed accounts. What's confirmed is the sequence of events, and that timeline raises questions about these 90 days. The confirmed media presence has been concentrated at Nancy's residence in Catalina Foothills. Ground searches have been concentrated mainly around her property. The drone analysis was on her land. The blood on the porch was there. The DNA was recovered inside her own house. Every piece of documented evidence and public activity has been oriented toward Nancy Guthrie's home. Annie and Tommaso Cioni's house is 10 miles from there. The community that has followed this investigation with evidence-based attention since February responded to the sign with immediate analytical clarity. One observer wrote, "I haven't seen or heard of anyone going to Annie and Tommaso's property. Why the sign? How strange." Another added, "No one has ever invaded their private property in all this time." These aren't emotional reactions. They are the logical observations of people who have been watching. Exactly where the confirmed activity has been focused for 3 months, raising a very direct question. Why did a warning appear where there is no activity? Retired FBI agent Jason Pack analyzed the psychological architecture of constant investigative pressure in his public comments on this case. He said that with each day that passes, investigators are getting closer. The person responsible doesn't know which camera caught him, who has already spoken with detectives, and that weight of uncertainty is exhausting. He was describing a behavioral pattern documented in crimes of this kind. the way constant external pressure generates responses from people inside the environment before any formal advance makes that pressure visible. A no trespassing sign is a behavior. It exists within a timeline. In an investigation about events that began at 1:47 in the morning on February 1st, behavior over time is not incidental. It's data. The second was the announcement about the DNA. The Pima County Sheriff's Department confirmed that the DNA analysis in the Nancy Guthrie case is still ongoing. The private lab in Florida continues sharing information with the FBI and other partner labs across the country. According to ABC News sources, the FBI recently received the DNA recovered from Nancy Guthrie's home. They are now performing additional testing using cutting-edge technology. Yes, advanced technology. In any other context, that phrase would go unnoticed. But in this specific forensic scenario, built on the foundation that CeCe Moore established in February, this doesn't slip past. It demands a careful reading. The Florida lab has been working on this sample for months. Standard forensic analyses have already been carried out. If the new phase used the same methodology, there would be no reason to describe it with different language. The statement would simply say the testing continues. But the statement doesn't say that. It says advanced technology, a new phase, a different capability applied to the evidence. Under Moore's forensic framework, advanced technology applied to a complex mixture points in one direction. A new deconvolution capability, a method to separate samples from multiple contributors that wasn't available when the evidence arrived in Florida. Whether it's Moore's STR software or another development in the field of forensic genomics, something new has entered the lab process for this evidence. The coordination around this new process isn't a single institution working in isolation. The sheriff confirmed partner labs in the plural, multiple institutions. The FBI's own facilities, publicly described by former Surgeon General Richard Carmona as the best forensic center in the entire nation, working in coordinated parallel with additional partner labs on the same evidence simultaneously. That level of coordination between labs doesn't happen with evidence that has been set aside. It happens with evidence that investigators believe is useful, evidence that holds the key to the next phase. The coordination indicates a high level of priority and resources directed toward a specific outcome. This is how cold cases or high-profile investigations get solved when traditional methods fail. The presence of multiple labs suggests that each one brings unique expertise to the table. One lab might focus on the initial separation, while another handles the genetic sequencing. This collaborative effort aims to maximize the chances of identifying a suspect or clarifying the timeline. As the investigation enters this new phase, the pressure on those involved keeps growing. Evidence. New tools are being applied with the real expectation of producing what CeCe Moore called a viable profile. And if that expectation is correct, if the advanced technology applied to this evidence achieves that viable profile, then the clock she mentioned in February starts now. The genealogical database search that identified the Golden State Killer, after 40 years, uses a sample that's already been separated. The sample is clean and available. The timeline of weeks, not months, takes effect right now. That's the forensic state of the case this week. Now, hold both developments in the same frame at the same time. A warning sign in a yard in Tucson, Arizona, 10 miles from where Nancy Guthrie was last seen. And the FBI confirms they are already applying cutting-edge technology to the DNA evidence recovered inside that house. Same week, retired agent Jason Pack's observation about the environmental pressure of the investigation takes on absolute relevance. Not as simple speculation, but as documented behavioral science. When an investigation is moving toward a high-impact forensic outcome, people close to the case often feel that pressure before it becomes evident to the public. Not because they have access to the internal progress, but because the constant attention from investigators generates a kind of pressure that shows up in the specificity of the questions being asked. You can see it in the focus on certain environments, and in the tightening of the perimeter around what they want to know. The sign and the DNA announcement have no confirmed link. It's an analytical inference, not a fact. But they share a timeline. In this case, time has told stories that isolated data alone could never reveal. The third development this week is oddly enough the quietest. It didn't happen at a press conference or in a yard, but on the screen of a phone. It would be easy to miss if we weren't watching the strange silence surrounding all of this. Savannah Guthrie returned to the Today Show anchor desk in early April. Since her return, she has kept a very private stance regarding her mother's disappearance. She has not spoken publicly about the investigation or commented on the new forensic developments. She has not responded to the questions this mysterious case raises week after week. This week, Savannah liked a post from her Today Show colleague Hoda Kotb. It was a tribute for Hoda's mother's birthday. It said, "Happy birthday, Mom." Savannah didn't comment. She didn't post anything of her own. She simply tapped a button on her screen. Followers of the case noticed it immediately after 3 months of nearly total public silence. On a topic so personal and urgent in her life, even the smallest gesture carries enormous weight. The comments on Hoda's post filled up with messages officially addressed to one mother, but they were implicitly directed toward another. Someone wrote, "I wish her many more years of love, peace, good health, and lots of happiness." Everyone reading those words knew exactly which other woman they were also thinking about. Savannah Guthrie has not confirmed what she actually knows about the current state of this criminal investigation. She hasn't mentioned the DNA announcement or the sign placed in her sister's yard. But the same week, the FBI confirmed advanced testing someone put a warning in a yard. 10 miles from her mother's house, she reacted to a celebration about someone else's mother. 3 events, 1 single week. This criminal case has not been standing still. This is the honest line between what is confirmed and what the evidence analytically suggests. It's the boundary between known facts and what this investigation still cannot answer. We don't move that line, and we won't now. What does the public record confirm? A no trespassing sign appeared this week in the yard of Annie Guthrie and Tommaso Cioni in Tucson. Local media confirmed that the sign warns of legal action. The sign appeared after a neighborhood meeting. Confirmed media and judicial activity is centered on Nancy Guthrie's house about 10 miles from the other property. The Pima County Sheriff's Department confirmed that the DNA analysis is ongoing and that the Florida lab continues to coordinate with the FBI. ABC News sources confirmed that the FBI received the DNA from Nancy's home and is conducting additional testing using cutting-edge technology. Sheriff Nanos has stated that no family member is a suspect. Savannah Guthrie reacted to Hoda's post about her mother. What's supported by analysis, but not confirmed by authorities. The link between the language about advanced technology used this week and the deconvolution framework that CeCe Moore explained publicly in February. Interpreting the no trespassing sign as a possible behavioral response to the pressure of the investigation. Both are based on expert analysis and on documented behavioral science. Nothing has been confirmed by investigators. What is still a complete mystery: whether the advanced testing will produce a single contributor profile suitable for searches in genealogical databases. Whether the new deconvolution capability has been successfully applied to this specific sample. What exactly motivated the no trespassing sign? Was it legal advice, a reaction to unreported events, or something else? And the question that remains unanswered after 90 days is, where is Nancy Guthrie? CeCe Moore said it precisely and without any doubt. If they get a viable profile, genetic genealogy will solve this case definitively, and it will do so within weeks. She said that in February. The advanced technology confirmed at the FBI, coordinated simultaneously among several partner labs, is the most important public development since those words. It's the clearest public sign that the forensic obstacle Moore described could finally be in the process of being overcome. Nancy Guthrie is 84 years old. She has been missing since February 1, 2026. She is someone's mother. She is someone's grandmother. A woman who walked into her own home after dinner with her family and simply never came back out. This investigation has been active for more than 90 days. The science is moving forward. The federal coordination is documented, and somewhere in a Florida lab and in the FBI's facilities, the genetic material found in her home is being processed with tools that weren't available when this investigation began. This week, a warning sign appeared in a yard. Advanced DNA testing was confirmed, and a daughter tapped a button on her phone, immersed in a grief she has not yet expressed publicly. Something is moving in this case. The full picture of what this movement means is not yet visible, but this channel will be here when it's revealed. That moment is approaching. This is American Case File. If you've been following the Nancy Guthrie investigation from the beginning, or if you're just starting with this video, subscribe now. Every confirmed development in this case is covered here with direct sources, documented evidence, and the analytical rigor that these 90 days demand of an unresolved investigation. Like this video if you want to see more content like this. This community has been a driving force in how this case has been followed publicly. Keep being part of it. Before you go, we have a question for our community. Do you think the no trespassing sign on Tommaso and Annie's property reflects legal advice from their attorneys? Or do you think it's responding to something specific that hasn't been publicly reported yet? Leave your analysis in the comments. Serious evidence-based attention has been crucial since day one, and it still is. If you have information about Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, contact the FBI tip line directly. A reward of up to $1 million is being offered for information that brings answers to this case. That information can be submitted completely anonymously. Nancy Guthrie has been missing since February 1, 2026. The investigation remains active. The science is moving forward, and this channel will not stop reporting until she is found.